had Affirmative Lady on top. Both of them there pointing at that horse, $19. Steve Bick and I in the handicapper support tossed out some good ideas. So, again, hopefully you were tuned in, picked up the one sheet, and you also had a very good day on Florida Derby Day. We'll kick things off with our recap, looking at the Florida Derby itself, and then immediately after the race in the winner's circle, I got some first impressions from Todd Pletcher. So we'll hear from Todd about Forte, and then one by one we'll go through the stakes on the card and hear from the trainers and some of the connections, just some brief post-race comments from all of them, just to kind of recap the very good day. So stay tuned for that. Again, up first, Florida Derby, and a recap from Todd Pletcher, and then running through all the stake section with connections, recapping a really, really great Florida Derby Day here at Gulfstream Park.
And they're off in the Curlin Florida Derby. It was an excellent beginning for Forte. He'll be able to duck over some from his outside draw. Meanwhile, West Coast Cowboy firing through at the inside to take the early lead. Fort Bragg got over quickly, and he's on to take over now. Fort Bragg from the 10 post to the rail and on top a length and a half. Mr. Peaks is now second with West Coast Cowboy in third. Young Frau between horses. Mr. Ripple is next. Cyclone Mischief is stacked 4 wide, 5 wide, WNL. And that's a length and a half to Il Maricolo. Irad Ortiz Jr. and Forte. They're toward the back of the field while 3 wide. Shaq Diesel is next, then Nautical Star. And Mage is last of all as they complete the opening quarter in 23-2. Down the backstretch they go. Jockey Joel Rosario and Fort Bragg on top by 2.5. Mr. Peaks is second. Mr. Ripple is third. West Coast Cowboy is down toward the inside. Working out in the center is Cyclone Mischief. Then it's Young Frau, Forte, starting to get a bit closer now. He's about 6 lengths off the speed through a 46 3/2 mile. Strong fractions being put up by Fort Bragg. He heads into the far turn on top by 2. Mr. Peaks is second. Mr. Ripple is third. Up on the outside, it's Forte. He's starting to get to work now. He's about 8 lengths off this loose leader with 5/16 remaining. Fort Bragg tries to sneak away. He has the lead by 2.5. Mr. Ripple, he's now second. Cyclone Mischief moves up on the outside third. Forte's locked in as Mage begins to roll from the back. They race past the quarter-mile pole in the Florida Derby, and Mage got the jump on Forte as he goes to get Fort Bragg. Cyclone Mischief is fighting hard. He's still right there. Less than a quarter mile to come, and Cyclone Mischief, he's up for a fight and tries to turn away Mage. Forte better hurry up. Final 16th of a mile. Forte starts to gather in the top horses. Here comes Forte. This is going to be very close, but the champion prevails. Forte wins over Mage. Mage was second. Third, Cyclone Mischief. Then Mr. Ripple, Fort Bragg for the high 5. He gave you a scare, but he got it done. On to Louisville for Forte.
What's your quick first impression?
Huge effort, just overcame, pretty wide trip, had to angle out coming off the turn, had a lot to do turning for home, and just, kept getting better and better. Best part of the race for him was the last 100 yards, which gives you confidence moving forward.
Is this a good prep, a good setup for the Derby?
I think when you take into consideration the huge crowd here, the noisy crowd, extended post parade, you kind of expose him to a lot that hopefully pays off at Churchill.
You get a little worked up pre-race.
He gets on his toes, and I guess I'd be a little worried if he didn't, as long as he maintains his composure. Once he got out on the track, he had a nice little gallop, and thought he settled in nicely.
Best Florida Derby win to date?
Yeah, definitely.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
This is a championship meet. Yeah. All the best jockeys in the world are here, and I'm excited to ride against them.
We back.
And you get to watch some really incredible, talented athletes out there.
Yeah.
To us, it's a place to be in the winter.
I love Gulfstream Park because of the racing.
The palm trees, the beach is right here. The horse racing is some of the best in the country.
A lot of good horses come out of here. If you want to go to the next level, Gulfstream Park was the place to come.
I remember the first time I came to Gulfstream, it was like this big fairy tale place.
all the history and all these great horses, trainers, jockeys. It was everything that I ever dreamed of.
There's an eighth of a mile to go. Behind enemy lines, striding with a purpose. He's now a clear leader. From the outside, Dunedin tries to pick up second. Late run now from King's Fortune, but this is over. Behind enemy lines with a dominant display. He wins by 3 in the end. It's Anglophile who kicks on well to get second. Dunedin was third. King's Fortune was fourth in 1:30 and 1.
Yeah, I was watching the race live when he won in Dundalk and knew the connections. And as he crossed the finish line, I thought it was visually impressive, and I called. And obviously, those type of horses who he was on bought for sale, and we made a deal pretty quick because how talented he looked. There was some ambitious nominations if you saw in some of the Kentucky Derby sort of pre-nominations, and the most logical spot was the cut of air, in my opinion. 6 furlongs at Dundalk to 7.5. Here we thought he was possibly better than one of the land, so we'll take a shot. It was good timing wise, let him adapt, 2 or 3 months, and that plan sort of worked out.
Do you have any plans? Or is it too early?
No, I have to give all the credit to the owners on this horse, because a lot of times you spend a lot of money on horses like this and you want to run them off the plane. They've allowed this horse to be a good horse and potentially to be a very good horse, and I got to thank them.
There's an eighth of a mile to go, and the leader is Masterpiece by a length and a half. On the outside, and Bay Street Money takes a run at him. At the rail, it's Therapist. Masterpiece coming up empty in the late stages here. The veteran Therapist is at the rail, and Therapist turns back time and wins the Pan American from Bay Street Money second. Closer for third, Masterpiece are charging wicked fast.
Well, I know that Chris Clement, who had the horse, is an excellent trainer, excellent caregiver. I knew the horse would be in good shape. They made probably the proper decision to sell the horse for a lot of money in the summertime. And when the horse got down to Gulfstream and he was running at claiming prices, really all I had in mind was maybe being competitive in the state-bred races in New York, maybe the 2X allowance optional tag. So that was really all I had in mind. Mike looks at the pedigrees very carefully. I've asked him, how do you stretch these horses out? And he said, it's really not that hard. You do a deep dive on their pedigree, and you try something that hasn't been tried. So that's really all I can say.
Up front now, here's O'Connor. O'Connor striding forward to take the lead. Clapton is second. Shirley Furious is now third. 4 back to 12-volt man simplification. He's just not firing. Off the turn and the stretch drive. Clapton is intent on running the race of his life, and he's up for a narrow lead. O'Connor tries to fight back second. Clapton just in front. At the rail, it's O'Connor. Clapton refusing to yield. The upset is on. Clapton at 21-1. He wins the Ghost Zapper in hard-fought fashion.
Yeah, he had been running against such tough horses all winter. After his last race, there was no pace in the race, and he came back good. But I really, in the back of my head, we were planning on giving him a little bit of a break and just planning this year and maybe 6-8 weeks winning an allowance. We've been third in a couple allowances, killers, and then early this week he was really training super that we thought. The race, the word came after we were entered, but he, the race looked like he was coming up really short, and his form was really good, and he looked good, and he's a big horse, he carries a lot of weight, and so we entered, and we decided, we'd see how he was leading up to the race, and then he worked super on Sunday, and with the legs, and it just gave us a lot of confidence coming into this. I thought in the back of my head, maybe it's too short coming back, but it's the last big race here. And, we're Florida people, so we're going to be staying here. In the back of our head, we maybe thought an allowance doesn't go. Maybe it's going to go special, but we couldn't really go there after a couple thirds in allowances. So we said, let's try. He's doing well, and maybe he could hit the board, and it would give us enough confidence to try a spot like that or something bigger because he's got so much talent, Just so happy to win a big one on a big day here.
With the advantage, it's now Atomic Blonde striding forward to challenge for the lead. Tamarindo is bopping back into the clear now. Here comes Amazing Grace. She's had traffic trouble and personal best just ahead of her. Atomic Blonde has made the lead. 1/8 of a mile to go. Atomic Blonde striding with the purpose, splitting horses. Here's Amazing Grace on the outside, personal best. Amazing Grace trying to catch personal grass. Amazing Grace just in front. No, there will be no doubt who's best. Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace did not have a smooth trip, but she was the best horse, and she won the Orchid over personal best second and Atomic Blonde third in 2:28 and 4.
No, but they were very good purchase, and your Mugler is a owner-breeder operation in Europe. It's been very successful in Ireland. They have horses, been trained by Dermot Weld and Aidan O'Brien. They had a very good stayer last year in Europe. And I had over the last 20 years, I've been very lucky. They supported me very well, which is great, because you establish a certain relationship where there's a certain kind of trust. And whenever you got that kind of relationship, it seems to work better. You seem to win more races for that kind of people, which is great.
This is a championship meet. All the best jockeys in the world are here, and I'm excited to ride against them.
We back.
And you get to watch some really incredible, talented athletes out there.
Yeah.
To us, it's a place to be in the winter.
I love Gulfstream Park because of the racing.
The palm trees, the beach is right here. The horse racing is some of the best in the country.
A lot of good horses come out of here. And if you want to go to the next level, Gulfstream Park was the place to come. I remember the first time I came to Gulfstream, it was like this big fairy tale place. All the history. And all these great horses, trainers, jockeys. It was everything that I ever dreamed of.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotb.com.
Around the far turn they go. It's Mish in front. On the far outside, Weyburn, Celestial Glaze. He's launching a bold rally at a nice price as they reach the top of the stretch. Trying to move up inside, Dean Delivers. Off the turn in the stretch drive, Weyburn. Now asked to quicken by Jose Ortiz. Dean Delivers. He's up for a fight. Here he comes on the rail. Dean Delivers now takes a narrow lead. Weyburn is right alongside these two for a final 16th. It's Weyburn. It's Dean Delivers. Weyburn is big. Dean Delivers is game. Here's a late run from Steel Sunshine, but Weyburn wins. Weyburn wins the Sir Shackleton. It's close for a second. Dean Delivers are a charging Steel Sunshine in 122 flat.
He had to show us in the morning. He started. He came straight from the farm. He wasn't training anywhere. Just very lightly on the tack at the owner's farm up in Canada. And we started going. He started getting. I actually didn't really think he'd run that early in the season, but he came around all of a sudden. I said, well, there's no sense of waiting. We might as well get a race into him, and he ran very well, I thought. And this was the next logical spot.
What was your feelings of the stretch run? That was a nice cut.
Yeah, I was worried that horse was coming back on, but he had put in such a big run around the turn, but they wouldn't have beaten him if they went around again.
And what's the next you were saying back in New York? Next, possible.
The Westchester's a nice race.
Off the turn in the stretch drive, Princess Theorem striding forward. Market Segmentation begins to motor down the center. Princess Theorem and Market Segmentation. Market Segmentation not home yet. Market Segmentation's getting up. Market Segmentation wins.
I went a little slow. I was in a little tight spot, so I don't want to give up the position. I just want to commit the horse I have to beat. The horse that finished second, I have to beat him, so just follow me.
When you got into that dogfight, and when you finally got room in the stretch, how much kick did you have?
She gave me a good kick, and then she stayed a little there. The other filly keep fighting. I think the slow pace helped the other filly, but I don't know. The whole time she gave me a good feeling, so I never hit him. Just showed the stick. She gave me a good feeling that she's gonna just go by me.
They run to the top of the stretch. Up front, Todd Shirley has the lead. Taking aim now, Lady Hamilton toward the inside. A late run from Riding Pretty behind them, and Baited Breath's daughter Breath Away. Breath Away, look at her come through now. Here's Breath Away, front and center for Jose Ortiz, and clearing off late. Breath Away to win it, and win it in style by 3.
Dean Reeves, they burn fast and they win often. I like it.
Great Saratoga with team last summer, but
Forget great Saratoga, great 2022. Won 15 or 16 stakes for Dean Reeves last year, so life is good.
talk about today and the performance out there.
She was very impressive. She exploded. That's the best race so far. She probably has a bright future, and it's very exciting.
Any possibilities up next?
Not yet. It's too quick, but let's see how she comes out of it, and then we'll go from there.
Very good.
Saez on Affirmative Lady. Down toward the inside. She angles off the heels of the leader. Running home from the back is Sacred Wish as they run to the first finish line. Darth Vader, the local hopeful, comes away with the lead. Flakes, another local hopeful, tries to battle back toward the rail. Off cover is Affirmative Lady, less than a quarter of a mile from home. Darth Vader, the target. Flakes is game inside. Over the top, and Affirmative Lady starts to pick him up. And here's Affirmative Lady and Luis Saez to the first finish line as they win the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Sacred Wish is in a photo with Flakes for second. Darth Vader is fourth.
But, she hasn't done much wrong. I think she bounced a little bit the second time I ran her in New York. I think she ran so big against Todd's filly that I think she regressed a little bit from that race. But she wants to go further. She wants some money.
So you think Kentucky Oaks then?
Look, if she comes out of it okay, we have to, yeah. I mean, that's what she wants to do. So, yeah, it's exciting. I haven't run in the Kentucky Oaks for a while. So.
It's clear you've had a lot of confidence in her because you were running her greatest stake.
You know what? Mostly it was about distance. There's not many opportunities to run a mile and eighth unless you take a shot at a stake. And those stakes came up kind of small fields, and I thought she was that kind of filly. So I'm glad she proved me right.
It looked like maybe she was struggling a little down on the inside, and when he got her back out.
A little bit. I mean, I said that to him, but he said he had plenty of horse.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it looked like at one point he was
different. Last time, she really drug Junior to the quarter pole, and today it looked like he was asking her. But different scenario. Louis gave her a great ride. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to lose him to Todd's filly in the Oaks, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
It seems like this was a really nice performance, comparatively speaking. Is she improving? Do you see that in the morning?
I think in the morning she's improved. Yeah, I was really happy with her coming to this race. I was excited about running it.
Up front, it's still Churchtown, the target. He leads by 2. Steady On is there second. From between horses, Fort Washington, down the center, and Super Dormy. Less than an eighth of a mile to go. Here's Steady On, driving forward under Irad to take the lead, and he'll win it. Steady On for Rapoli Stable. Maybe it's more to come from Churchtown second, and up third is Fort Washington in 1:34 and 2.
Honestly, this horse has just been training better and better. Was good enough to win last time. When he didn't win, it was just on the poly, but this is turning out to be a really, really nice turf horse. And just so impressive, so professional, and I think we're going to see big things for him in the turf division as much as up to the mark that we're sending next week to the Maker's Mark.
Thanks for tuning in, and again, hopefully you enjoyed the recaps of all the stakes action here at Gulfstream Park on Florida Derby Day, hearing from some of the connections after the stakes action. Again, great performance by Forte. Heard from Todd Pletcher. Graham Motion gave some comments on the Gulfstream Park Oaks winner, probably headed on to the Kentucky Oaks, Affirmative Lady, and another great undercard of stakes races as well. Let me remind you that today, Gulfstream Park mandatory pay in the Rainbow Six. Keep that in mind if you'd like to play that. Also, the Kentucky Derby Future Pool winds up today, so keep that in mind also. And again, it was just a great day here at Gulfstream Park on Saturday with a great crowd. The weather held out. So again, we want to take this opportunity to thank everybody at Gulfstream Park, all the guys in the press office, all the guys on the TV side of things, and everybody here at Gulfstream who makes our stays and our visits so great down here. So again, thanks to everybody at Gulfstream. Thanks also to the folks at Capital OTB, Dan and Dino up in the studio, Mick and Shannon, who came down and helped out here at Gulfstream Park. Want to thank them as well. I'm Seth Merrow. I'm going to wrap it up here from our weekend at Gulfstream Park. We'll be back in the studio on Wednesday. We'll be live from Albany, a little bit different weather-wise, but happy to get back home after a great weekend here at Gulfstream Park. Hopefully you enjoyed it too. See you next week. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB throughout the championship meet. The Gulfstream Park Championship meet runs now through the early April Florida Derby weekend. featuring high-quality racing throughout. Once again, we'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.